There is breaking news tonight from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Mistakes at the CDC lab in Atlanta may have exposed a worker to the Ebola virus. Bob Orr has the details. Bob?
Jim, officials at the Centers for Disease Control say the incident happened on Monday. It was discovered yesterday. A lab technician at one of the labs in Atlanta may have become exposed to live Ebola virus that was part of a lab experiment there. Now, according to a CDC spokesperson, samples that should have been inactive were transferred between two labs. It was later then learned that some of that material may have contained live virus. One technician handling those samples without proper protective gear now will have to be monitored for 21 days. We're happy to say at the moment the technician shows no signs of Ebola. Fewer than a dozen other people also entered the lab. They've been assessed for possible exposure, but a spokesperson says there's no safety concern for those folks. CDC Director Tom Frieden said in a statement today, "I am troubled by this incident in our Ebola research laboratory. I've directed that there be a full review of every aspect of the incident and that CDC take all necessary measures." We have to say this is just the latest misstep for the CDC. Earlier this year, you may recall, scientists sent live anthrax to labs not equipped to handle that material. The CDC also mishandled a potentially deadly strain of bird flu. No one was hurt, Jim, in either of those incidents.
Bob Orr in our Washington newsroom. Thank you, Bob.
I'm on my way to one of the most dangerous places on Earth. We're heading straight into the heart of an Ebola outbreak, the worst the world has ever seen. The contagion, a deadly virus that kills up to 90% of those it infects.
You have to remember, this is Ebola Zaire. Highly contagious, highly infectious, very dangerous. And for that area, you don't touch anything. Okay?
Here, a haunting question. Is it too late? In the capital, chaos and panic is leading to desperate measures. Unable to control Ebola's spread, last week the government quarantined an entire slum, home to 75,000 people. As the quarantine order sparked violent riots, residents were unable to leave, forced to rely on the government for food and water. ABC News' Carrie Eldo has been reporting from the center of the outbreak since it began.
So they basically are checking who can come in and out of West Point. Only people with aid supplies and medical staff can go in and out.
This is the part of Monrovia, the city, that's been quarantined. It's the poorest part of the city. It's where there's been the most Ebola, and they're not letting people in and out of that area.
Fences keep thousands inside the slum, some separated from their families.
They've been in this compound for 7 days? 8 days. Why? It's like you're in prison. How many people have you lost from Ebola?
I've lost 3 persons now.
What's the solution? How will Ebola end?
I don't see Ebola ending now. The best solution now, I think, for me is to let me out, to get my way out.
Stephen is now forced to cross the rope line back into the Ebola zone, a surreal divider.
I've seen outbreaks all over the world, and I've never seen anything like this. It makes no sense in terms of disease control. All this is doing is adding enormous pain and suffering to these people.
In this dark hour, an influx of help from abroad is a rare ray of hope. A new Ebola center, run by Doctors Without Borders, is set to open its doors as soon as tomorrow. Modern, clean, and capable of holding up to 400 patients. For so many people here, these efforts will be too little, too late. And many wonder what might have happened had the world only acted sooner.
It's just no-brainer. No-brainer quarantine. They're going to wait till it spreads and quarantine everybody and forcibly inoculate us. Just get ready. They may not do it this time. This is a beta test, though. Mark my words. They're doing it on purpose. And so I'm to blame. I understand. Let's have some more CNN reports and another Washington Post attack piece just because we're so bad.
I think they should set up special centers for just Ebola in each state.
Mass quarantine is the major problem that you face because as this sheriff's deputy, he came in down with some flu symptoms and he got labeled potentially Ebola and put into quarantine. Had this happen in a mass quarantine situation where a lot of people are coming down sick with it and you happen to have the flu or a cold or fever or something and get tagged and put into a mass quarantine, you're going to get the Ebola because you're put into a quarantine with other people And just like the Superdome during Katrina, you're not going to have the kind of facilities. I don't care what the CDC says. You can't have extremely controlled medical protocols in mass quarantine situations. It simply overwhelms the medical system. Even in Liberia, they're already out of hospital beds. And how do you build more facilities to handle the exponential increase in clients?
Health officials at this very moment are trying to get the word out about a flesh-eating bacteria that is thriving in our Gulf waters.
Yeah, that bacteria already killing one person tonight. We want to get right to our Chris Trankman taking action to get the answers you need to know. Chris?
When you come out to the beach and you check out the white sand and the beautiful water, you're probably not thinking about a deadly bacteria lurking under the water, but it's a big problem here in Florida. 41 people got this illness last year. 11 people have gotten it already this year. 2 here in Sarasota County, and one of those, a middle-aged man, died from the disease.
I was a little nervous about taking the kid to the beach.
Dan Buck brought his 5-year-old son to Lido Beach, even though he heard the warnings about the deadly bacterial infection. Buck is confident it's still safe to swim.
I feel like it. I hope so. I mean, he doesn't have any open cuts or anything like that, so he should be all right.
But health officials are warning people about the danger of eating raw oysters or exposing open wounds in seawater or brackish water during this hot time of year, as the disease, Vibrio vulnificus, can kill, especially in people with liver disease or weak immune systems. And while 10 people have died from Vibrio statewide in the last year and a half, there are no plans to close any beaches.
Well, the water's fine to go in, don't have any issues with that. It'd just be diligent if you have an open wound or cut. Child, adult, older adult, all those individuals should be aware that there's a risk.
Vibrio vulnificus can cause severe skin irritation and lesions, but health officials say it's not in the same category as necrotizing fasciitis, the famous flesh-eating bacteria which rapidly causes skin disintegration. Still, Vibrio is extremely dangerous and requires immediate antibiotics if it's contracted. Parents like Jennifer Lundy say she's doing her best to keep her kids safe.
You try to be cautious and teach them to watch out for things and stuff, but for bacteria, it's not something you can see.
You may not be able to see it, but you can certainly feel it. Some of the symptoms include extreme dermatitis, abdominal pains, and diarrhea.
I had blisters covering my whole entire arm.
A simple scrape turns into a flesh-eating infection, and this Bay Area woman almost lost her life. The special treatment a local doctor used to save her.
It didn't seem like a big deal when it happened, but it almost cost a Peninsula woman her life. Now she's thanking a doctor for saving her from a flesh-eating bacteria. CBS 5 reporter Juliet Goodrich shows us what happened, and we want to warn you, the pictures are graphic.
Lori Madsen of Pacifica nearly lost her arm.
A simple fall. Yes.
Nearly lost her life. What started as a scrape after a simple fall on the asphalt turned into something out of a horror movie.
That night I started getting really sick. My arm started hurting really, really bad.
A flesh-eating bacteria was infecting her arm.
I got strep A bacteria.
Called necrotizing fasciitis.
I had blisters covering my whole entire arm.
Lucky to be alive, Lori thanks her miracle worker, Dr. John Crew, lead wound surgeon at Seton Medical Center in Daly City.
Saved my arm and my life.
She's my treasure.
Lori was taken to the emergency room, and after a few days, her situation kept getting worse. Dr. Crew was doing rounds that morning, and he could hear her in pain. He went and grabbed her chart to find out what he could do.
He just happened to be at the nurse's station.
Be at the right place at the right time, because you need somebody to recognize what it is.
Hi friends, have a look at this condition. You can see these are the live creatures inside in the ear, the maggots. These and removed all maggots. The old person sleeps and you see so many house just there. So put some cloth on the face so that they do not enter into the orifices and lay their eggs. This condition is known as oral mysis, and candidate may hear some noises in the ear. If larvae enter into the middle ear, it may further go into the brain.